The story kicks off in some random year when strange portals just popped up all over the world, out of nowhere. These portals led to mysterious labyrinths that folks started calling catacombs. Inside, monsters known as enemies ran the show and were super aggressive. The problem was, if one of these catacombs was ignored for too long, something really bad would happen. Basically, the monsters would start pouring out to invade our world and wreak havoc. Because of this, humanity was left completely defenseless, with nothing to protect themselves. However, they discovered that if people with a certain talent spent some time inside, something would change. From that point on, these individuals would awaken special abilities, which they nicknamed skills. With these new powers, humanity finally had a fighting chance against the enemies. The people who used skills to explore and conquer the catacombs were called dungeon divers. Soon after, being a dungeon diver, or player, became the most respected profession on the planet. Meanwhile, in a classroom, a young man lets out a long, discouraged sigh. This kid is Sota Sasaki, our MC, who looks completely bored with the lecture. He explains that his parents were players, but his father was lost in battle, and his mother was taken by the dungeons as well. Our MC's dream was to become a great player just like them, but something was holding him back. Suddenly, a strange shadow appears outside the classroom window. The shadow quickly reveals itself as a monstrous face with a bizarre grin. Faced with this, our MC lets out a scream of panic and ends up falling backward. His classmates complain that Sota Sasaki is, as usual, a super loud guy. One girl asks why he just screamed out of nowhere, saying he was scaring her. Meanwhile, other students start whispering about how weird the guy is. The truth is, for a long time, he's been living with a rather peculiar condition. Our MC could see things that other people simply couldn't. This special ability is called spiritual vision, the power to see spirits. When his father was still alive, he took him to a catacomb to awaken a skill. However, young Sota was so terrified of the spirits that he couldn't concentrate. He held out for hours but didn't awaken any skill like his father, the Master of Flames. Back in the present, one of his classmates holds out a hand and asks if he's okay. The guy accepts the help and thanks him awkwardly as he's pulled up from the floor. However, upon touching his classmate's hand, our MC is completely shocked. Sota stammers his classmate's name as he looks at him. The guy's name is Takuto Sega, and he's an old childhood friend of our MC. On top of that, he's a player who's already awakened a skill, and he yanks Sota up with a lot of force. With a sinister smile on his face, he whispers for them to meet at the usual spot after school. Our MC is visibly tense about the invitation he just received. Meanwhile, the girls in the class comment on how kind Sega is and what a big heart he has. Our guy mentally questions what part of his friend is kind or good-hearted. Cutting to after school, our MC is thrown to the ground with brutal force. He's at the agreed-upon location, and Takuto complains that Sota is pretty late. The bully and his friends surround him, calling him a self-proclaimed psychic and mocking him. Sota gets ticked off by the taunt and tells them to knock it off immediately. Out of patience, Takuto grabs him by the collar and demands he hand over all the money he has. The guy hands over 5,000 yen and some coins, but Sega is far from satisfied. He explains that he can't give any more because he needs the money for his mother's medical bills. The response to his explanation is a solid punch to our MC's face. Takuto tells him to stop wasting money on a comatose old woman who isn't even going to wake up. He adds that he feels sorry for the guy, since his mom fell into a coma inside a catacomb. On top of that, his dad went crazy and croaked like a loser, leaving the kid all alone in the world. He yells that the kid's parents were useless and accuses him of lying about his spiritual vision. With that, the bully asks why our MC's family was even born in the first place. Faced with this, Takuto gets angry at the hateful glare Sota is giving him. Our MC stares him down with rage as tears of humiliation stream down his face. Sega tells him to know his place and calls him worthless, incompetent trash. Because of that, he lands another powerful punch on the guy, yelling that he's getting arrogant. Sota goes flying back from the impact of the blow, wondering how things ever got to this point. He remembers his dad change after his mom collapsed, becoming obsessed with catacombs. Even beaten and on the ground, the guy believes there must have been a reason for his father's actions. The other guys comment on how weak Sota is as they watch him lying on the ground. From there, Takuto grabs him by the collar and says it's time to start the training. With a malicious grin, he says he'll train Sota in place of his useless parents. Next, Takuto drags the guy to a forest where they find a glowing green portal. Our MC is shocked by the sight and asks if that's really a catacomb gate. He stares at the large portal, which emits an intense green light in the middle of the dark woods. Takuto reveals he found the portal yesterday, and one of his friends says the training is going to be fun. Sota then asks if it isn't dangerous, but one of the bullies just smirks at him. One of the goons gets annoyed by the question, but the other says they should report the portal. Takuto tells them not to be afraid of a simple green gate, since they've already cleared purple portals. Even so, our MC is hesitant and clenches his fist nervously, not knowing what to do. With that, Takudo lands a quick blow to the guy's face, catching him completely off guard. The attack leaves a cut on Soda's face, who is frozen in fear and surprise. With a dark look, the bully tells him to stop complaining, saying his hand might slip. He then summons a sword of fire and threatens to attack the hospital where our MC's mother is. Young Soda grinds his teeth in anger and helplessness, unable to do anything against the threat. Completely defeated, the guy lowers his head and says he gets the bully's message. The gate then opens and our MC turns to face it, confirming he's going in. Shortly after, the group enters the catacomb, and Soda notices several purple spirits floating around. These ghostly creatures with skull-like faces look spooky but are harmless. As our MC imagined, his classmates can't see the spirits surrounding them. Even knowing he's the only one who can see them, the guy is still scared to death of the situation. Suddenly, a small, fiery creature appears out of nowhere, floating in the darkness of the cave. That fire spirit flies at high speed toward our paralyzed MC. His eyes reflect the approaching flame, and he completely panics from the surprise attack. Because of this, he screams in pain as he's hit square on by the fireball, getting knocked backward. Takudo gets really irritated by the scene and yells at Soda to stop being so cowardly and weak. He mocks the title son of the Master of Flames, and asks if there are any ghosts around. The bully says he's sick of Soda's excuses, and that there's no point in him being alive. He then reveals that he knows the truth about the guy's father, claiming he was a horrible person. Even with his wife sick, he spent all his time in catacombs and was lost for nothing. Takudo accuses him of being a trash father who prioritized status and fame over his family. With a cruel smile, he suggests that if Soda checks out right here, maybe he'll find his idiot dad. With a macabre grin on his face, Takudo tells our MC to just let go. Soda cries out of pure rage and humiliation for everyone looking down on him like that. At the same time, the little fire spirit continues to float nearby, watching everything. The guy thinks that even the ghosts are mocking him and treating him like he's useless. Suddenly, a mysterious voice in his mind asks if the spirit is really making fun of him. Our MC is startled by the voice he just heard and looks around confused. Faced with the situation, the spirit's flame becomes more intense and reddish, growing in size. The mysterious voice tells him to strain his eyes and listen carefully to what the creature is saying. So, Soda focuses on the spirit, trying to understand what was happening. Takudo notices the guy is staring into space and asks where he's looking. Soda's expression confuses the bully, as he seemed to be seeing something right behind him. Out of nowhere, Takudo feels something strange and spits up blood, completely shocked by the situation. A sharp tail pierces through his chest, and the guy screams desperately in pain. The other two boys are frozen in fear at the terrible scene they just witnessed. A giant skeletal monster emerges from the shadows and lifts Takudo with its sharp tail. The bizarre creature is a giant spider with weird armor and glowing red eyes. One of the boys panics and screams that it's the Spider Queen, a boss from a red portal. Apparently, this creature drags its prey to its nest and lays eggs inside it while. You get the picture. This is definitely one of the worst ways to check out. No doubt about it. Shortly after, what's left of the prey is devoured by the queen's hatchlings, which swarm in droves. The two bullies are completely paralyzed with fear, not knowing what to do in that situation. Faced with this, they start running for their lives, screaming to get away as fast as possible. However, our MC is left behind, collapsed on the ground, too scared to move. The smaller spiders surround him from all sides, ready to attack at any moment. He wonders if this is going to be his end, if he's really going to say goodbye to his life right here. With that, he screams in his thoughts that he doesn't want to go. No way, it's not his time yet. The mysterious voice then encourages him not to give up and tells him to strain his eyes. It continues, telling him to listen carefully and sharpen all his senses to feel the power. From that point on, a golden light envelopes him, and a system message appears before him. The message says the stay time has been exceeded and congratulates him on his achievement. The system announces that a skill has been awakened due to the catacomb's blessing he received. The ability is called Legacy Anomaly, and the details say it comes from wandering souls. Our MC wonders what wandering souls could be, and the fire spirit glows intensely. Suddenly, the small spirit explodes in a powerful golden light, illuminating the entire cave. Soda is surprised when a shadowy figure emerges from the light with the name Houghton written below. The figure reveals himself to be our MC's father, appearing majestically surrounded by flames. His father's spirit smiles gently at the boy and extends a hand toward him as an invitation. Soda can't believe his eyes and asks if it's really his dad, reaching out to touch him. Their hands are about to touch in what promises to be a very emotional moment. However, one of the smaller spiders prepares to attack, not caring about the scene unfolding. With that, the creatures surround the boy and his father's spirit, ready for the final strike. Soda finally manages to touch his father's hand, and a light begins to shine at the point of contact. At that moment, a gigantic explosion of fire erupts from their touch. The blast of flames consumes all the nearby spiders, leaving no trace behind. After the smoke clears, we see our MC with a very different, more confident look than before. Our MC is now surrounded by flames with a much more serious expression on his face. A system window appears, explaining that his new skill allows him to inherit abilities from wandering souls. With that, he looks at his flaming hand and realizes it's the same skill as his father's. Tears of happiness stream down his face as he celebrates finally becoming a player. However, the fire spirit warns him that it's not time to get emotional, as the danger hasn't passed. Shortly after, the Spider Queen begins to approach slowly, ready to attack. One of the smaller spiders leaps toward the boy, who screams in fright at the sudden attack. He panics, but the spirit scolds him, telling him to keep his eyes wide open. The little fire creature shouts for him to concentrate and see the monster for what it really is. And so our MC's eye glows with an intense flame as he focuses. From that point on, he can see the spider in a different way, like an aura of energy. He notices the creature's mouth is glowing and wonders if it's about to spit something. The monster fires a projectile and the spirit yells for him to be careful, but he manages to dodge it. The guy doesn't understand what happened, and the spirit explains that he saw the creature's soul wave. It reveals that the source of power for all players and enemies originates directly from the soul. The spirit explains that he saw the power concentrating in the creature's mouth because of his skill. Faced with the situation, the spider prepares to attack again, giving him no time to breathe. With that, the creature leaps toward our MC for another direct hit. The spirit challenges him to see how long he can last in the fight against the monster. The creature attacks with its sharp claws, trying to land a direct hit with its pounce. And so Soda dodges and attacks with a flaming kick that lands squarely on the monster. He's surprised by his own reflexes, as he didn't know he could do that. Shortly after, his instincts take over, and he continues to attack the beast with fiery punches. Our MC wonders how he suddenly knows how to fight so naturally. The little fire creature explains that he's with his father's soul, and has inherited his fighting techniques. Faced with this, he realizes he didn't just inherit the skills, but also his father's way of fighting. Because of this, his father's spirit appears behind him as if guiding him in battle. The image of his father comforts him and gives him the strength he needed to keep fighting. With tears in his eyes, our MC agrees and accepts the power he has just received. He then prepares for battle, telling his father that they'll fight together now. From there, he lands a fiery punch on the spider, which retaliates with its sharp claws. Our MC uses his special vision and realizes the creature is about to attack again. Faced with the situation, a large blade of flame forms on his arm, ready for the fight. His eye glows with power as he analyzes the enemy with his new soul-seeing ability. With this, he can see the energy concentrating in the giant creature's head. The aura around the monster's head grows stronger, indicating a vital point. Soda Sasaki wonders if that could be the weak spot he needed to win. Without wasting time, he leaps toward the spider, aiming for its enormous rear section. He lands a powerful punch right on the monster's abdomen, which feels the blow hard. With a battle cry, our MC tells the spider to take his full power attack. Shortly after, he strikes the creature's head, which begins to crack from the force of the fire. With the enemies defeated, the guy turns and calmly walks through the flames. The fire spreads through the cave, eliminating all the smaller spiders that were there. The last creature burns until nothing is left, as he watches it with a cold gaze. Soda Saseki is now ready for whatever comes his way with his new fire powers. With that, he uses his new ability, Flame Prison, and attacks the monster with everything he's got. After the dust settles, our MC faces the result of the battle with a serious look. He then lets out a long sigh of relief for having made it out of that situation alive. The guy says he handled it, and the spirit congratulates him on his first real fight. The fire creature explains that to inherit the skill, he needs to hear his father's regrets. Soda asks how it knows so much, but the spirit tells him to focus on what's in front of him. The spirit explains that until now, he was in a semi-awakened state, perceiving souls incompletely. But with his skill awakened, he can even talk to souls like his father's. His father's spirit greets him, saying it's been a while since they've seen each other. Our MC is overcome with emotion and can only call out for his dad, unable to believe it. His father's spirit looks at him with sadness and calls the boy's name with a tone of regret. Shortly after, he apologizes to his son, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. Soda explodes, asking why he didn't stay with his mother and did something so reckless. With a calm expression, his father's spirit replies that he just wanted to save his mother. Faced with the answer, our MC is completely confused and doesn't understand a thing. Houghton reveals that the reason she lost consciousness was the Spider Queen's venom. Ever since she collapsed, he had been exploring every red portal that appeared, searching for the monster. But when he finally found the queen, a trap was sprung, and he couldn't win. Houghton's expression shows just how desperate and powerless he felt in that moment. Our MC is speechless upon learning the truth behind his father's actions. He blames himself, saying that maybe there was a weakness in his heart that led him to that end. Faced with the situation, he says it's natural for his son to hate him, but Soda interrupts him with a shout. Out of the corner of his eye, our MC asks what he was talking about. He yells angrily, asking why his father had to suffer through all of that alone, reminding him that they're family. Soda says that even if he couldn't help, he wanted his father to have talked to him. Houghton's spirit is touched by his son's words and calls his name. Soda declares that he will be the one to save his mother from her condition. With determination, he promises to become a player who will surpass even his own father. Tears stream down his face as he vows that he won't let anyone else be lost like that again. With a confident smile, Houghton says that his son is talking like a real man. With a serene smile, Houghton embraces his son in a very emotional moment for both of them. He says that the boy is the son he is so proud of and that he truly loves him very much. Faced with the situation, the spirit reveals that he wanted to convey these feelings and now has no regrets. He then asks Soda to become stronger than anyone else he knows. Finally, he tells the boy he's counting on him to take care of his mother, and his spirit vanishes into particles of light. Soda cries and smiles at the same time, thanking his father for everything he did for him. A system window appears, notifying him that he has inherited the skill, Radiant Flame, to manipulate fire. Our MC then turns and looks at the small fire creature still floating there. Tears continue to stream down his face as he processes everything that just happened. The spirit congratulates him and says he thought he was a coward, but he proved him wrong. Soda thanks him very formally, but the creature tells him to cut it out with all the formality. He says Soda can drop the honorifics because they're no strangers to each other. Faced with this, the guy asks, confused, if by any chance they've met somewhere before. The fire creature glows brightly as it prepares to answer the boy's question. With a mocking tone, the spirit asks if Soda really doesn't know who he truly is. The fire creature's speech comes out all glitchy, and our MC doesn't understand a word he's saying. So, the guy asks what he just said, but the spirit seems confused too. He tries to repeat what he said, but the speech continues to come out distorted and incomprehensible. Because of this, the spirit gets annoyed and tries to shout his identity, but the words don't come out right. With a sigh of defeat, the flaming creature admits that he can't say what he needs to. He explains that it's like a glitch in the world system, so there are restrictions on what he can reveal. Faced with this, he tells Soda to call him whatever he wants, but the guy feels a bit awkward. The creature gets excited and asks our MC to pick a really cool name for him. The guy thinks for a moment, and since it looks like a Hidodama, he suggests the name, Tamao, for the spirit. Upon hearing the name, the little fire creature is petrified with pure shock and disapproval. Tamao freaks out and asks what kind of horrible taste in names that is, but Soda defends himself, saying he told him to. The creature sighs and reluctantly accepts the name, telling our MC to just stick with it. Shortly after, he changes the subject and reminds the guy that he has a mission to complete now. Our MC's expression changes completely, and he gets a serious, focused look. With his eyes glowing with determination, the guy confirms that he does indeed have something to do. Tamao praises the guy, saying that now he's got a look of respect and determination. With that, our MC turns and starts walking toward the exit of the catacomb. He looks back one last time, and with a serious gaze, challenges the darkness of that place. And so, the guy heads toward the light of the exit, ready for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, outside, the two bullies who ran away are exhausted and out of breath. One of them despairs, asking why a red portal boss was in a green portal. Suddenly, the entrance to the catacomb begins to glow with a much more intense green light. The two boys turn around, startled by the sudden change, and don't understand a thing. From there, rings of golden light begin to form around the gate mysteriously. One of the bullies' jaw drops, and he stammers, trying to understand what's happening. He screams in panic that the gate has transformed into some kind of irregular gate. The other guy also panics and asks what the heck that glowing thing is. It's explained that the difficulty of portals is measured by color, but those with rings are different. Realizing this, one of the boys concludes that it has effectively become a red portal. The gate now glows intensely, confirming that its danger level has risen to the maximum. One of them shouts that they need to call for help, but the other despairs, not knowing what to say. The guy has an expression of pure panic, not knowing how to get out of this jam. His friend tries to justify himself, saying that Takuto deserved what happened and that he was in the wrong. He then asks what they'll do about Soda, but the other tells him to just abandon him there. With a cold look, he says that no one is going to look for a useless loser like him. He adds that they just got rid of some trash as the portal continues to glow. Suddenly, a voice emerges from the portal's light, apologizing for being trash and startling them. The duo is completely shocked, and one of them stammers our MC's name. Sota Sasaki walks out of the portal with a completely different and much more confident expression. His former classmate yells, asking how the heck he's still alive after all that. Our MC ignores him, and his eye glows with an intense flame of newly awakened power. The bully gets annoyed by the silence and yells at the guy not to ignore him like that. He repeats the question, and our MC notices that the souls of the two are extremely weak. With a look of contempt, Sota says they are weak, and that their souls are nothing. Faced with the situation, the bully becomes enraged and blames him for Takuto's departure with a scream. The bully then gets the idea to blame Sota for everything that happened inside. With a confident smile, he declares that he's going to pin all the responsibility on our MC. However, Sota interrupts him, asking to save the chat for later because he needs to talk to Katora. The guy in the beanie is completely confused by what he just heard and doesn't understand a thing. The other bully's face darkens with pure rage for being ignored like that. From there, he yells at Sota not to underestimate him and lunges forward with a solid punch. Our MC doesn't even flinch at the attack and faces the guy with a look of total calm. With an extremely fast movement, he stops the bully's blow without any difficulty. Katora is shocked to see his friend suddenly go flying, his face all bruised. The attacker hits the ground, completely knocked out after receiving a single, powerful blow. Witnessing the scene, our MC turns to face the last bully still standing. The boy in the beanie is paralyzed and starts to wonder if Sota really became a player. Our MC cracks his knuckles, getting ready for the next round with a confident look. The guy realizes that, on top of everything, Sota has become incredibly strong out of nowhere. Sota then begins to walk slowly toward Katora, calling his name. Faced with the situation, he says he has a favor to ask and looks at him with a serious gaze. With a gentle but intimidating smile, our MC asks if the guy will do what he asks. Completely terrified, Katora stammers and ends up agreeing to the request without even thinking. Shortly after, the two re-enter the catacomb, which now emits a purple aura. The boy in the beanie warns that this is bad news, and that they won't be able to handle it alone. Our MC explains that the inside of an irregular gate can change at any moment. Because of this, he clenches his fist tightly, because if that happens, it will be too late to act. With that, the guy declares that he will defeat the Spider Queen before the worst happens. Katora is shocked by the declaration and shouts, asking if he's really planning to fight the boss. He insists that they need backup, but a loud, imposing voice interrupts them out of nowhere. The pair turns around, startled by the sudden interruption, not understanding what's happening. A guy in sandals emerges from the shadows and says he won't let them do as they please. Our MC is surprised to see the mysterious figure that suddenly appeared. The newcomer shouts, surrounded by flames, that they won't do anything as long as he's alive. The guy with a pompadour and a scar on his face stares them down with a serious and defiant look. Our MC asks who the newcomer is, but he refuses to answer suspects. The guy tries to explain, but the man with the pompadour interrupts him with a suspicious tone. He points to the unconscious boy and the lack of a third member in the group for the exploration. Therefore, he says he has more than enough evidence to consider them very suspicious. Desperate, our MC begs the man to at least listen to his side of the story. However, the newcomer shouts that he's heard enough and refuses to cooperate with the duo. With that, he lunges at our MC with an extremely fast and powerful punch. Sota Sasaki dodges the blow with great ease, leaving the attacker completely surprised. Realizing the situation, our MC concludes that he has no choice but to fight. From there, he lands a solid punch on the man's chin, who feels the impact hard. Even after being hit, the guy with the pompadour praises Sota's strength, saying he's not bad at all. Our MC tenses up, realizing that this person is much stronger than he looks. The man then releases a golden aura and says that if that's how it's gonna be, he'll fight. His eyes glow with power as he warns that he'll have to fight seriously now too. Shortly after, a large explosion of power occurs, and the two clash with everything they've got. After the dust settles, our MC stands in silence, analyzing the battle situation. The man with the pompadour then reveals the name of his skill, which is called Man of Steel. With this ability, he transforms his body into steel and warns that his fists are going to hurt. Sota Sasaki realizes that this power is very dangerous and that he can't take a direct hit. Because of this, the guy decides to retreat temporarily, leaving his opponent quite confused. The man with the pompadour yells at him not to run, as they should fight head on. Katora just stands there, not understanding anything about the crazy fight happening. Taking advantage of the distraction, the guy in the beanie runs inside the cave to protect himself. The man with the pompadour is left alone outside, and yells for them to come out from wherever they are. Meanwhile, our MC hides behind a rock to think of a strategy. He knows he can't beat him in strength, but is afraid of using his flames and hurting him. Suddenly, a green spirit appears and calls the man with the pompadour Toma, with contempt. The wandering soul says that seeing him again has awakened it, and that today it will finally finish the guy. Our MC is startled and asks the spirit what happened between it and that man. The spirit is shocked that the guy can see it, and Soda confirms it with a smile. The green spirit explains that he and Tuma never got along and decided to settle things with their fists. In a flashback, we see the two facing off, ready for the brawl that would define everything between them. The wandering soul reveals that it lost the fight, but was planning to get revenge before leaving this world. With that, it shouts that it's too frustrated and can't rest in peace like this. Our MC thinks for a moment and says that maybe he can help with that. Shortly after, the guy comes out of his hiding spot and walks toward the man with the pompadour. The man with the pompadour smiles and asks if our MC is finally ready to face him. Soda then shouts his opponent's full name, calling him Masato Igarashi. The man is shocked by the revelation and asks how the heck the guy knows his name. Without answering, our MC charges at Masato at high speed. He then apologizes as he prepares an electric attack to hit his opponent. With that, he uses the electric shock skill and hits Masato's chest with a handful of lightning. The man with the pompadour's eyes widen, unable to believe the power of the attack he just received. From there, Masato Igarashi falls to the ground, completely defeated and unconscious from the shock. The green spirit celebrates the victory, and our MC smiles for having managed to win. With that, the spirit of Tadashi Goto thanks him and says that now it can depart without regrets. Our MC waves back, thinking that every person has their own version of regret. From there, a system window appears, notifying him that he has inherited the electric shock skill. Suddenly, someone calls his name, and Soda Sasaki turns around with a serious expression on his face. Kotora is shocked by the scene and asks if the guy really managed to defeat Masato. Soda asks why he didn't run, and the guy says he stayed to find out why he was brought along. With a determined look, our MC reveals that he needed Kotora's special ability. The beanie-wearing guy's skill is Poison Alchemist, the power to manipulate toxic substances. Therefore, he explains that with this power, Kotora can create an antidote if he has the materials. Our MC remembers that he knows the skill well, as he was once forced to drink poison by them. Kotora asks what he wants, and Soda says he'll defeat the Spider Queen alone up ahead. Faced with the situation, he asks the guy in the beanie to create an antidote for his comatose mother. Soda says he doesn't have to fight, but the guy interrupts him, saying he'll help in the battle. Desperate, Kotora grabs him and begs our MC to help Takudo too. He reveals that he only awakened his skill because of Takudo, and that he has no right to ask this. With his hands on his head, he shouts that Takudo saved him many times in the past. In a flashback, we see the bully protecting him, and Kotora considers him his great savior. Faced with the situation, he turns to our MC, but Soda refuses to help. He says he has no intention of forgiving Takudo and tells Kotora to save him on his own. The guy in the beanie is paralyzed by the cold response he just received from Soda. Our MC then turns his back and says that at least he won't get in the way. With a smile of acceptance, Kotora seems to understand and respect the guy's decision, and so, he thanks him as Masato Igarashi begins to wake up from the knockout. The duo is startled to see the man with the pompadour getting up, as if nothing had happened. Masato cries, moved by their friendship, and tells them not to underestimate his endurance. He then grabs Soda and yells that he should have told him the whole story from the beginning. With a smile, he says that since they're in the same boat, he'll lend a hand in the fight. Our MC is completely confused by the man's sudden change of attitude. Kotora tries to warn him that it's dangerous, but Masato insists he's doing it because he wants to. With a determined look, he says that besides, he has another reason to join the fight. Masato points out that the Spider Queen has already appeared, and they no longer have time to escape. With its red eyes glowing, the giant creature stares at the group, ready to attack. Faced with the situation, the man with the pompadour tells everyone to get fired up and prepares for the fight. The trio then lines up side by side, facing the gigantic monster that awaits them. Kotora asks about Masato's experience, and he reveals that he's already defeated a purple portal boss. However, the man with the pompadour admits that this is his first time facing a red portal boss. And so, he says he'll be the group's shield, but Soda suddenly rushes forward. Our MC charges ahead alone and Masato yells, asking what the heck he's doing. The Spider Queen attacks with its sharp claws, which glow with a dangerous purple energy. The guy dodges the blows with incredible agility, leaving his new companions shocked. With that, he gets close to the monster, which concentrates energy in its hand for a new attack. The creature then fires a powerful blast of purple energy toward our MC. Soda easily leaps over the attack and continues running toward the monster. Masato is impressed and wonders if the guy has cleared a red portal before. Kotora replies that it's impossible, as he only became a player a few hours ago. Masato is shocked and says that the guy's movements look like those of an experienced veteran. Faced with the situation, our MC uses his flames, surprising his new ally even more. Masato realizes that Soda was holding back and wonders if he can use fire too. Inspired, he yells that he can't lose and reactivates his Man of Steel skill. With that, the guy with the pompadour charges at one of the monster's legs. His expression shows pure determination as he prepares his strongest blow. However, his steel punch has no effect on the giant creature's tough carapace. The Spider Queen easily grabs him from above, and he realizes the situation is pretty bad. The monster prepares for the final attack while Masato is completely defenseless. At that moment, our MC leaps from a wall, aiming for the creature's head. He uses his electric shock to paralyze the monster and give his ally a chance. The electric discharge stuns the Spider Queen, which releases the guy and recoils from the shock. And so, Masato explains that the creature's skin is too tough, and attacks don't work. Our MC then asks what he thinks about using fire to solve the problem. He asks Masato to draw the creature's attention so he can attack with fire at point-blank range. Masato yells that the super-charged mode won't last long and activates his Man of Steel skill. He then charges at the Spider Queen with everything he's got, ready to take the creature's blow. The giant creature seems unfazed by the attack and stares at the guy with a strange look. With that, he yells for our MC to put more spirit into it and says he's counting on his help. The Spider Queen bares its sharp fangs and prepares to counter-attack in anger. And so, Masato manages to get the giant monster's attention, shouting that he's got it. Our MC takes advantage of the opening and prepares his fire attack called Lotus Flame. From there, he hits the creature square on with his new fire ability at full force. The Spider Queen screams in pain as the flames spread relentlessly across its body. Even injured, the monster manages to move away a bit to try to put out the consuming fire. Our MC says its speed is good, but the fire worked, and they need to chase it. With that, the trio starts running after the giant creature to prevent it from escaping. Katora is impressed and thinks they can win, asking Takuto to wait. Suddenly, the guy in the beanie notices something strange and asks what that thing he saw was. Faced with the situation, he approaches and finds a shoe lying on the dark cave floor. He recognizes the shoe and confirms with shock that it belongs to Takuto. His eye twitches with pure dread as he finally understands what that scene means for his friend. The Spider Queen is chewing on something with a bizarre smile while making strange screeching noises. Because of this, the guy in the beanie charges at the giant monster, screaming in pure rage. With a swift movement, the creature attacks him with its sharp claw, knocking him to the ground. The monster prepares to strike him again with a final blow to end it all. Suddenly, a voice shouts for the creature to stop, and a figure shields the guy from the attack. Masato defended Katora, but his steel body begins to crack from the force of the impact. Our MC takes advantage of the opening and runs to help, yelling for the monster to stop. However, the creature is faster and manages to grab the guy's leg with its claw. With a roar of fury, the monster turns to Soda, ready to finish him off once and for all. And so, he is thrown violently away, hitting the ground hard. The guy lies there, feeling immense pain all over his body from the powerful blow. The scene shows the defeated group, with Soda and Katora on the ground and Masato badly injured. His new friend calls his name, but our MC appears to be unconscious on the ground. The Spider Queen screams in triumph as it approaches the fallen group. With the team defeated, our MC thinks that he's just as weak as ever and couldn't protect anyone. He apologizes in his thoughts for being weak and unable to fulfill the promise he made. Suddenly, his father's spirit appears and says he's not weak at all. He explains that his son has the power to change his destiny, and that he has great potential. With that, he points out that our MC can overcome any despair if he accepts that power. And so Soda opens his eyes with a new fire, literally and figuratively, determined to fight. Our MC stands up, and a large blade of golden flame forms in his hand. Masato is shocked by the sight and asks if that's really a flame. The boy's eye shines with a new determination as he prepares to continue the fight. The Spider Queen charges again, but our MC easily dodges the attack. He leaps high into the air, ready for a powerful attack with his new soul blade. He remembers his father's final words, telling him to become stronger than anyone. With a determined look, Soda agrees in his thoughts and prepares for the final blow. And so, he lands a devastating blow on the Spider Queen, which screams as it's defeated. With the battle won, our MC stands tall, holding the piece of steel he used. With a smile, he tells his father that he did it, and that now he can save his mother. The scene shows the group gathered, with Katora and Masato looking at what's left of Takuto on the ground. Masato suggests they take the guy outside to give him a proper burial, and Katora agrees. Shortly after, the man with the pompadour turns to Soda and congratulates him on his victory. Our MC thanks him for his help, saying he wouldn't have won without him. But Masato tells him not to worry about it. The guy with the pompadour comments that Soda has multiple skills, but the electricity one reminds him of someone. And so, Soda reveals that he learned the electric shock skill thanks to a person named Goto. He continues, saying he wanted to visit the guy's grave to thank him, but Masato is confused. With that, the man with the pompadour reveals that Goto is actually alive, leaving our MC shocked. The guy doesn't believe it and remembers the spirit, but Masato insists he saw the guy just yesterday. Suddenly, a strange and dark image flashes through our MC's mind without warning. He falls to the ground with a splitting headache, and Masato rushes to help him, worried. Tamao's voice echoes, saying that the guy has just touched the root of the world with his ability. Lying on the ground and sweating coldly, our MC calls out the little fire spirit's name. Just then, an image of an unknown girl in a classroom appears in his head out of nowhere. Tamao warns him to remember the person he really needs to save. The little fire spirit finishes the sentence, saying that it's not just his mother who needs to be saved. Cutting away, we see Masato in a hospital with a confused look on his face, staring at Goto. Masato asks if they happen to be twins, but Goto shouts that he's an only child, and that's that. Goto says that despite his tough guy look, Masato seems like a complete spoiled brat. The guy gets annoyed and asks why he was dragged to the hospital just to be insulted. Soda tries to calm the two down as they continue to argue, reminding them they're in a hospital. The pair realizes they're making a scene, and a man asks if the gate is secure now. The official explains that after the boss is defeated, the portal stabilizes with no risk of invasion. With that, he thanks our MC for clearing the catacomb, and the guy gets embarrassed. Soda says he's going to check on Katora and says goodbye to the two left in the hallway. Masato then asks if that kid really managed to defeat the boss, and Goto confirms it. Masato is completely shocked and shouts, asking if it was really a red-level portal. Goto confirms and comments that this skill of inheriting abilities is insane. Masato adds that it's not just that, remembering that Soda is also incredibly fast and brave. With a smile on his face, he thinks that maybe our MC would be a good fit for his plans. Goto asks if he's talking about recruiting the kid, and Masato immediately confirms it. From there, Masato turns to his friend and says he needs a very serious favor. The guy with the pompadour gets close and starts yelling at his friend, who doesn't understand a thing. A scream echoes down the hospital hallway, startling everyone nearby. Cutting to another location, we see Katora's hand glowing with an intense purple energy. He's kneeling on the ground, using his alchemist skill to analyze a venom sample. Our MC approaches from behind, and the guy in the beanie calls his name upon noticing him. Soda asks how things are going, and Katora says the venom analysis will be done soon. The guy in the beanie replies that he's fine, and Soda says he was worried when he passed out suddenly. He says he heard from Masato, and thanks him for being carried out of the catacomb. Kotora replies that it was nothing, as his injuries were the lightest of the group, and so, he apologizes for being a burden, but Soda tells him not to even think about it. Our MC says he understands the feeling of having someone important in danger all too well. Katora says he hates Takudo, but won't deny the admiration the other boy felt for him. With a smile, he says he simply can't compete with that kind of feeling. Our MC is confused by the statement, but the guy in the beanie says it's nothing. From there, he changes the subject and announces that the venom analysis is finally complete. The image shows the poison master holding the vial, which glows with a bright green light. Inside the small glass vial, a green liquid can be seen bubbling slightly. He hands the antidote to Soda Sezuki and tells him to hurry and give it to his mother. With a smile of pure gratitude, our MC thanks him very much for the help he received. He then runs excitedly across the courtyard, shouting that he's finally going to save his dear mother. Arriving at the hospital, we see our MC's mother still unconscious in the bed, just like before. The guy stands beside her with the antidote in his hand, looking very nervous about the situation. Without wasting any more time, he carefully pours the green liquid into his mother's mouth. She swallows the antidote, and a green light suddenly begins to emanate from her body. The light grows stronger and stronger, completely enveloping the hospital bed. Shortly after, her eyes open and our MC is shocked by the scene. With tears in his eyes, our MC calls out to his mother, and she finally responds. The guy continues to cry with pure happiness for finally having his mother back after so long. She touches his face affectionately and says he's grown so much, making the boy even more emotional. From outside the room, we see the scene as Soda Sezuki begins to tell her everything about his father. His mother cries as she understands all the feelings her husband had kept to himself. He explains that his father's wish was to save her, and so the mission was passed down to him. Our MC shows his flames, saying he inherited his feelings, his power, and everything else. His mother recognizes the power and talks about the flames of Kiyokiro, our MC's father. She then asks what he's going to do now that he's fulfilled his father's wish and saved her. The guy is thoughtful for a moment, not knowing exactly what to say to his mother. With a determined look, he declares that he's going to become the strongest diver of all time. He continues, saying he'll be the strongest so that no one else has to be lost like that again. With a bit of apprehension, our MC asks if by any chance she's against his decision. Faced with the situation, his mother responds very directly and firmly, saying yes, she is. She explains that just imagining her son in danger completely breaks her heart. However, she admits that she and his father made him go through the same feelings of worry. With a gentle smile, she says it wouldn't be fair for her to be the only one to stop him from moving forward. Our MC is very emotional and happy with the understanding he just received. From there, she asks the guy to promise that he'll include himself in his "no one gets lost" rule. She explains that if by any chance he were lost, she simply wouldn't be able to bear the pain. With a sincere smile on his face, our MC agrees and promises that he'll always take care of himself. He then hugs her tightly and swears that he'll never be lost, no matter what happens. Shortly after, the guy leaves the room with a much lighter and more determined expression on his face. However, upon leaving, he's startled to realize that people were waiting for him outside. Katora and Masato were there the whole time, and the guy asks if they heard the entire conversation. Masato apologizes for listening, but Soda says it's fine and not to worry about it. Katora warns that the real problem is that they entered the catacomb without the association's authorization. Masato reassures him and says it's all good because his team will take care of all that. Our MC asks if he's serious, and the guy with the pompadour confirms that it's already been handled. With that, Masato approaches with a smile and invites Soda to join his Dever team. Soda Sasaki is surprised by the invitation, and Masato reminds him of his goal to become the strongest diver. With a confident smile, he states that Soda will find the strength he's looking for by joining them. Cutting away, we see a technological and glowing gate with a strange face printed on it. Inside, a white-haired guy is sitting on defeated monsters as another guy approaches. The white-haired guy says he doesn't care, and that he actually really wants to meet this person. With a smile, he reveals he's talking about Soda Sasaki RMC. The scene explains that this team is an official organization that sends notifications to the association. This way, they receive approval to explore catacombs and defeat portal bosses. Back in the present, Masato reveals that he's a member of the strongest team known as Tenru. Kotora is impressed and says that Tenru isn't just the best in Japan, but in the entire world. He explains that Tenru has 10 squads, each with a very skilled captain in command. From there, Masato slaps him on the back and confirms that he's absolutely right about that. With a thumbs up, he praises Kotora for being so well informed about the Tenru organization. The guy in the beanie reveals that Takuto greatly admired the team and dreamed of joining them one day. Our MC understands the guy's sentiment as Masato watches their conversation. Soda says he knows a little about them too and reveals the name of the commander, Yamato Sumeragi. He says that this Yamato resolved several incidents and was named the strongest of all. Our MC is very excited about the chance to meet someone so incredible and powerful. Masato asks if he's nervous, but Soda denies it and thanks him for the great opportunity. The guy with the pompadour is impressed and praises our MC's courage with a smile. With that, they finally arrive at the entrance of the team's headquarters, and the group stops in front. Soda is surprised as the headquarters of the world's strongest team looks like just an old house. Masato just smiles and tells them to watch as he opens the door to the mysterious place. From there, the scenery suddenly shifts to an ultra-modern and technological interior. The place is huge inside, with enormous windows that illuminate the entire environment with light. Our MC is amazed by the structure and wonders if it's a skill. Masato then asks with a smile if the place isn't incredible. Suddenly, someone hits Masato on the head from behind with a very strong blow. A man scolds him for exploring the catacomb alone and blaming it on the team. Masato despairs and calls him bro, yelling that he had permission from Yamato himself. The man replies that he already knows but continues to squeeze the guy's head, who screams in confusion. He then accuses him of dumping all the paperwork on Goto's second squad. With that, he tells the guy to take responsibility, and Masato curses Goto for ratting him out. The man tells him to reflect and Masato apologizes while our MC tries to calm the situation. The man then introduces himself as Yusei Igarashi, the vice commander of the famous Tenru team. From there, the vice commander bows in front of our MC and Katora. He apologizes for his brother, but Soda says that he actually helped them a lot in the battle. A voice chimes in, saying that Yusei has always been too hard on Masato, and the group turns around. The white-haired guy tells him to take it easy, as Masato was helping people. Our MC is completely shocked to realize that this is Yamato Sumeragi. He sizes him up and thinks that the world's strongest ever looks pretty normal, even a bit thin. Suddenly, our MC's eye glows with an intense flame as he looks at him. And so, he realizes that Yamato seems to have the soul of an ordinary person, or even weaker. At that moment, the commander turns and faces our MC with a friendly smile. He then hugs him and says he really wanted to meet him, leaving Soda a bit awkward about the situation. Yamato praises the anomaly skill and Sota feels embarrassed, thinking how laid back the commander is. With that, the commander hugs him and reminds him of his goal to become the strongest of all. He then invites him to see what it really means to be the strongest. Our MC is silent for a moment, processing the invitation he just received. Without a moment's hesitation, our MC accepts the challenge with great determination and bows to him. The guy's attitude leaves the whole group completely shocked by the scene they just witnessed. Yusei tries to intervene, but Yamato says it's fine and that he'll go very easy on him. Besides, he points out that our MC already seems totally hyped for the fight. Faced with the situation, Yusei agrees and warns that he'll stop everything if it gets dangerous for the guy. From there, Sota Sasaki gets into position and prepares for the combat that is about to begin. Yamato then turns and calls him to the training room, so they can finally start the fight. Suddenly, the entire environment around them begins to transform in a very strange way. The scenery dissolves into pixels, and the place changes completely right in front of all the guys. Our MC is very confused and doesn't understand anything that just happened in that place. With a smile, Yamato announces that he'll attack with his left and tells Sota to defend against the blow. Our MC agrees and his eyes glow with flames as he prepares for the fight. He thinks that he shouldn't let his guard down and that the commander could use a skill at any moment. Suddenly, a wave of pure energy explodes from Yamato's body with absurd force. Our MC is completely shocked by the demonstration of power he just witnessed. Yamato rushes forward with his punch at incredible speed toward our MC. Sota Sasaki's expression shows the pure terror he felt from that attack. With that, the punch lands squarely, and the guy goes flying backward from the force of the impact. The attack's speed was so great that he barely had time to react and defend himself. He slams into the wall, and the commander stands there, observing the result of the blow. The other guys shout Sota's name and Yusei seems to be saying, "I told you so." Lying on the ground, he feels as if an explosion went off right next to him. He realizes that it wasn't a skill, but the soul itself in human form attacking. Faced with this, he understands that the commander's strength didn't come from any ability. Yamato looks at him with a smile, seeming very interested in the guy's reaction. With that, he invites him to continue the fight and praises him for being a mass of pure energy. With that, our MC gets up, surrounded by flames, and agrees to continue the combat. From there, he charges at the commander for another direct attack. Sota attacks with a fiery punch, but Yamato dodges with impressive ease. The commander seems surprised by our MC's speed and determination. Even so, Yamato continues to dodge all the blows with a frightening calm. The guy knows that if he takes one more hit, he won't be able to take it and needs to feel the attack. And so, he concentrates with every cell in his body to predict the next move. Faced with the situation, Yamato looks at him and says that he's looking at the strongest right in front of him. With flames burning, our MC shouts and begs him to show more power. The request gets the commander excited, and with a smile, he says that now he's getting fired up. Shortly after, Yamato lands a powerful punch right in our MC's face with everything he's got. Even with a bruised face, the guy refuses to fall and remains standing, facing his opponent. The other team members watch the fight, completely shocked by what they're seeing. Yusei comments that his friend is totally obsessed with the fight against this rookie. Even so, he admits he didn't expect Sota Sasaki to last this long. Masato is completely shocked by the scene, and Yusei seems to be thinking about something. Faced with the situation, he says that maybe the fight turned out very well in the end. Meanwhile, our MC takes a step forward, preparing for the next round. His hand fills with flames, and the energy around him becomes even more intense than before. With a determined look, Sota asks if he can use all his skills at full power. The commander steps back and calls him So-Chin, leaving our MC quite confused. Yamato says that asking for permission is no fun, as he promised to show his maximum strength. With a sinister look, he tells the guy to come at him with everything he's got, without holding back. Faced with the challenge, our MC lets out a battle cry, ready for the final combat. His fist glows with an intense golden light as he concentrates all his power there. From there, he unleashes a gigantic explosion of flames toward his opponent. The commander stands still, watching the enormous fireball approach him without fear. He recognizes the skill and realizes it belongs to the strongest fire mage, Kyohiro Sezaki. The revelation brings a huge, excited smile to the commander's face. Without hesitation, he extends his hand toward the fire attack to stop it with everything he's got. With incredible strength, he manages to stop the fireball with just one hand. Our MC's jaw drops, and he asks what he thought of his strongest attack. The commander praises the guy's courage for attacking with everything he had without hesitation. Faced with the situation, he says he's liking our MC and his power more and more. The guy gives an awkward laugh but is happy with the compliment he just received. Yamato then stretches and warns that with this, he can probably start fighting seriously. Suddenly, an emergency alarm starts blaring throughout the team's headquarters. The alert warns of an enemy invasion in the city of Sakurazawa, making everyone tense. Our MC is shocked by the news and asks if it's really an enemy invasion. The commander regrets the interruption, as the fight was getting really fun for him. It's explained that if a portal is left open for too long, enemies begin to invade the world. He concludes that some challengers probably failed to clear the catacomb in time. Without wasting time, he shouts for Yuze and asks which teams are ready for battle. Yuze checks the information and replies that teams 1, 2, and 5 are on standby, and so, he orders Team 5 to guide civilians and the others to contain the enemies. With that, he tells Yuze and Masato to take their teams to the gate, and the two agree. Our MC asks what the commander will do, and he says he'll fight the enemies. With a determined look, the guy asks if he can go along on the invasion mission. Yamato agrees but warns that he'll leave him behind if he can't keep up, and so the commander also invites Katora to come along and look after our MC. The guy in the beanie agrees nervously, but accepts the mission he just received from the leader. With that, Yamato shouts for everyone to move out and warns them not to let anyone be lost in the battle. From there, the entire team shouts in response and runs out of the headquarters at full speed. The group runs through the city streets, with Yamato leading and Sota Sasaki right behind him. Katora falls behind and is impressed by the absurd speed of the two in front of him. He realizes that Sota must already be at his limit after the fight with the commander. Our MC runs with difficulty and looks completely exhausted from all the effort. Suddenly, a green monster appears out of nowhere but is destroyed by a very fast attack. Yamato defeats the creature with a single punch without even slowing down his pace. The commander just glances to the side and continues running forward, unfazed by the enemy. Our MC runs through the destroyed street and looks like he's about to pass out from exhaustion. The commander looks back and thinks that maybe he expected too much from the guy on this mission. With that, Sota Sasaki finally can't take it anymore and collapses on the ground, completely exhausted. Katora runs to help him and asks worriedly if he's okay after the fall. Lying on the ground, our MC looks ahead with an expression of pure defeat. He sees the commander getting further and further away, and feels like everything is so distant. Katora thinks that it's impossible to continue, and that they should leave the rest to the Tenru team. Suddenly, our MC struggles to his feet and Katora tries to stop him from continuing. He yells at the guy to stop, as he's already strong enough and should leave the rest to Yamato. With a serious look, Sota says that until now, he's never really made his own decisions. He reveals that he decided to become the strongest, and that he doesn't want to lie to himself and give up. With that, he shouts that he wants to catch up to the commander, and we see him fighting several monsters. Faced with his friend's determination, Katora takes a potion vial from his bag without saying anything. Using his poison alchemist skill, he prepares a special potion for Sota. Our MC looks to the side and realizes what his friend is about to do. With that, Katora throws a vial with an orange potion toward our MC. The guy fumbles a bit but manages to catch the small vial in the air without dropping it. He explains that the potion unleashes his hidden power and strengthens his body for a short time. However, he warns that there are side effects and asks if Sota really wants to drink the liquid. Meanwhile, the commander continues to fight the monsters without stopping for a second. With a spinning blow, he defeats several enemies at once and asks what they thought. Yuzai reports over the phone that the boss isn't at the portal and must have gone into the city. Faced with the situation, Yamato tells him to prevent any more enemies from leaving the portal, no matter what. The commander hangs up the phone and prepares for the real challenge ahead. A giant heavy ogre appears in front of him, and Yamato identifies it as the catacombs boss. Without any fear, he faces the giant creature and says he'll finish it off once and for all. His eyes glow with power as he prepares for the battle against the final boss. Suddenly, Sota appears out of nowhere and lands a fiery punch squarely on the gigantic monster. An explosion of flames illuminates the city, and Katora watches from a distance, impressed. He then sighs and tosses the empty vial into the air, looking very relieved by the scene. Sota chugs the vial in one go, and Katora is startled that he didn't even ask about the side effects. Suddenly, our MC's eyes begin to glow with a very intense golden energy. A blast of power throws Katora backward, who screams in surprise at the force of the explosion. With that, the now empty vial hits the ground with a clatter as dust rises. The guy in the beanie then smiles and encourages Sota, telling him to keep going with everything he's got. Our MC stands before the fallen ogre while Yamato watches, impressed. The commander smiles and praises the guy's strength, saying he wasn't bad at all in that fight. However, the ogre gets up again and lets out a roar of fury, showing it's not over yet. A golden aura of pure power surrounds our MC's body as he stands there. Sota shouts that he won't give up, and that he'll stay right behind Yamato, no matter the distance. Faced with this, the giant monster roars again, seeming very annoyed by his determination. Yamato is surprised by the boy's attitude and then starts running toward the beast. The commander's expression changes completely, becoming serious and focused on the battle. Our MC continues to release his power aura, which grows stronger and more intense. With a determined look, he prepares to show that he can indeed fight alongside the strongest. Yamato explains that even if the boss is gone, the enemies that have already left the portal will remain. With that, he points to the ogre and asks if our MC can handle it. Full of confidence, the guy shouts yes and accepts the mission he received from the commander. Yamato smiles and asks him to hold the monster off for a while, as he'll finish things up quickly. Suddenly, the commander disappears and our MC is confused, not understanding what happened. With an incredible leap, Yamato gets on top of a building and starts running across the city's rooftops. In the blink of an eye, he's already super far away, leaving Sota alone with the giant monster. Our MC focuses and says that since the commander trusted him, he will win the fight. The ogre raises its giant club, preparing to crush the guy with all its might. With a powerful blow, the monster attacks, but our MC manages to dodge just in time. He remembers the first hit and realizes that creature's defense is insanely high. So, he plans to hit the beast with fire to finish it off when it's off balance. With a battle cry, the guy fires a blast of flames toward the giant monster. He then charges forward and lands a fiery punch right on the creature's face, which feels the impact. The ogre is furious with the attack and glares at our MC with a look of pure rage. The monster counterattacks with a punch, and our MC tries to defend himself with his arms. With that, he's thrown hard against a building wall, which cracks from the impact. The guy spits a little and realizes with shock that his attack didn't even scratch the beast. Faced with this, he understands that the giant creature is completely resistant to fire. So, he thinks about using electric shock but remembers that it will only stun the monster. Desperate and out of options, our MC wonders what he can do in this situation. Suddenly, an idea comes to his mind, and his eye shines with a new hope of victory. The ogre is a bit confused by the guy's change in attitude, and looks at him suspiciously. A fiery aura once again surrounds our MC as he prepares for the next round. In his mind, Tamao's voice warns him not to rely too much on his father's skills. In a flashback, the spirit explains that fire is strong, but some enemies simply ignore it. The little fire spirit asks if he really knows that, and the guy confirms it. Tamao scolds him, saying that he became too confident and reckless after being weak for so long. With that, the fire spirit reveals that he will teach him his ultimate move for emergencies. Our MC is excited about the idea, and Tamao says it's a super powerful technique he can already use. With a thoughtful expression, our MC listens to what Tamao has to say about the technique. The fire creature explains that not even the strongest challengers can always use this technique. Faced with this, the guy asks with curiosity what kind of ultimate move it could be. Tamao reveals that it's not about the attack, but about putting every drop of his aura into a single blow. Sota Sasaki is a bit confused by the explanation and says he already fights with everything he has. The spirit then explains that the aura flows through the body, and concentrating it in one place is very difficult. But he adds that if the guy understands his soul, he can control the flow and become stronger. The fire creature warns that it takes absurd concentration to gather all the aura in battle. The guy realizes that concentrating in the middle of a fight like that won't be easy for him. Tamao advises him to run if the enemy is too strong and prepares to reveal the name of the move. Back in the present, our MC gets into position, ready to test his new secret technique. He faces the ogre and realizes that everything has gone quiet, and he no longer feels the pain from the hit he took. Sota remembers that the fight against Yamato earlier greatly sharpened his concentration. Seeing the guy's calm, the ogre gets angry and charges at him with its club. With a focused and determined look, our MC prepares for his final attack. With that, he combines fire with electric shock and charges at the giant monster. Our MC understands that he needs to gather his entire soul into a single point to win. And so, he leaps and dives into a whirlwind of flames toward the creature. The ogre braces for impact and tries to defend against the full force attack from above. Sota then uses electric shock and touches the monster's head to stun it first. His eyes glow with power as electricity begins to flow through his entire body. Shortly after, a massive electric discharge hits the ogre, paralyzing it completely. The giant creature screams in pain as the electricity courses through its body relentlessly. With the monster stunned, our MC prepares for the final blow with a serious look. He then concentrates all his remaining energy into his fist, which glows brightly. The golden aura in his fist grows stronger and stronger, ready to be unleashed with full force. Tamao's voice echoes in his mind and reveals the name of the powerful technique he learned. And so, he lands a devastating punch right in the monster's face with his Soul Blast. The ogre is thrown backward by the force of the fiery explosion that completely consumes it. After the smoke clears, our MC stands there, observing the outcome of the fight. The giant ogre screams in pain as it is completely consumed by the flames of the attack. With a sigh of relief, our MC looks at his fist and celebrates the victory. He smiles and says that now he can finally get a little closer to Yamato's level. Suddenly, his expression shifts to pure panic, and he realizes something is very wrong. His hands start shaking uncontrollably, and he feels all the strength leaving his body. With that, the guy falls to the ground and realizes that his energy has just vanished. He then remembers Kotora's warning and understands that this is the potion's side effect. Faced with this, other monsters surround him, and he is left completely defenseless on the ground. The creatures stare at him with malicious looks, ready to attack at any second. Lying on the ground, our MC lets out a groan of pain, unable to move. He wonders why this had to happen right now, at such a crucial moment. Meanwhile, on top of a building, Yamato observes the entire city with a focused gaze. The commander comments on how tall the building is, and that it serves as a good reference point. With a smile, he seems to be planning his next move with great calm. Without wasting any more time, he stumps his foot hard and prepares to finish off all the enemies. From there, Yamato leaps from the building at high speed to begin his attack plan. He soars through the city skies and praises the magnificent view from up there with a smile. Shortly after, the commander lands on another rooftop and continues running without stopping. With that, he picks up the phone and asks Yusei if everyone is ready to act. Yusei replies that teams 1 and 2 have already sealed off the enemies within a 5-kilometer radius. Faced with this, the commander thanks him for the report and hangs up on his ally. With a serious look on his face, he says that it's finally time to begin the operation. From there, an aura of blue energy explodes from his body with completely absurd force. His feet begin to float in the air as the blue energy relentlessly surrounds him completely. This energy spreads from the building and suddenly covers a gigantic area of the city. The blue light expands more and more, looking like a giant and very powerful force field. Meanwhile, our MC remains on the ground, surrounded by monsters, unable to move. Even injured and without strength, he lets out a groan of pain and refuses to give up the fight. With that, he thinks that he can't be lost in a place like this, and tries to get up with all his might. Faced with the situation, the monsters raise their weapons and prepare for the final attack. Suddenly, a blue light appears from the sky, and our MC is confused by the scene. He shouts, asking what that is, as the monsters are hit by blue lightning bolts. Soda Sasaki is shocked to realize that this is the power of Commander Yamato. With an expression of panic, he shouts and can't believe what he's seeing. A giant dome of blue energy covers the entire city, with lightning bolts everywhere. Yamato smiles and says that sealing off 5 kilometers took a little longer than expected. With that, he clenches his fist tightly and prepares for the final blow against the enemies. From there, he uses his ability and unleashes an electrical punishment over the entire area. Blue lightning spreads throughout the city with an absurd and frightening intensity. One of the creatures screams in pain as it's hit by the attack's electric discharge. All the monsters around our MC are electrocuted with no chance to react. The other team members watch as the enemies are eliminated by their leader's power. Faced with this, the creatures simply vanish without a trace. Our MC's jaw drops, not understanding anything that just happened. He then pats himself down and realizes with shock that he came out of the massive attack completely unscathed. With that, he realizes that the commander's attack was extremely precise and controlled. The enormous power aura wasn't just randomly released all over the city. The civilians were completely spared from the attack without suffering a single scratch. Faced with this, he understands that the target was focused only on the invading monsters. The image shows one of the creatures being completely disintegrated by the blue energy. The remains of the monsters vanish into thin air as the commander's power gradually subsides. Our MC gives a nervous laugh, unable to believe the level of power he just witnessed. Yamato appears and congratulates him on a job well done, making the guy even more embarrassed. He thinks that the title of strongest is still far beyond his reach at the moment. Soda finally passes out, but Yamato catches him before he hits the ground. With that, the commander is surprised to notice something he hadn't seen during the fight. He sees the ogre's skeleton and understands that it had already been defeated before his attack. Yamato remembers that the guy's mission was just to buy time and is shocked by the feat. Our MC finally faints from exhaustion in the commander's arms. With a smile, he says that Soda is a very interesting guy and calls him by his nickname again. Yamato continues to carry the unconscious guy as his companions approach. Captain Kakeru and Captain Karen appear and joke that he loves to be showy. Kakeru warns him that he's going to get an earful from the association for using his aura in the city. Yamato says that the role of calming tempers belongs to the captain, and that he'll be the one getting the lecture. With a smile, he says that to recruit a promising member, a performance is necessary. Kakeru then asks if he's talking about our MC, and the commander confirms it. Yamato reveals that he's entrusting the guy to the first squad, and asks them to take care of him. The captain replies that he was already planning to ask for him, and readily accepts the mission. In a hospital, our MC's mother is reading a book peacefully in her bed. She thinks that raising the boy is a duty she must fulfill with great love. A family photo shows the boy's parents with Captain Kakaru and Commander Yamato. With a determined look, Kekaru says that taking care of our MC is a mission for him.